Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Late Night Advice. I'm your host Sean Merritt, and today we're going to talk a little bit about pain and suffering. As you can tell by some of my previous videos, I enjoy watching anime. And a few weeks ago, I watched an anime called Kiznaiver. And it was one of those shows that after it was over, actually really had to take a step back and really question some of the things and the topics it was talking about. And one of the topics that I talked about in particular was pain and how we relate to our own pain and other people's pain. Before I dive into kind of the lessons that I learned from it and what I want to share with you, let me just give you a quick synopsis of what the story is about. Essentially, there are 7 kids who are called to be part of what is called the Kiznaiver experiment, which ultimate goal is to promote world peace. And essentially what happens in this Kiznaiver experiment is all these 7 kids are connected through a Kiznaiver device in order to feel each other's pain. And eventually the show progresses where it starts off from physical pain and moves into emotional and physical pain, and they all become close friends, and it's a great happy ending. I definitely recommend watching it, so please hit a link below if you go to this video and you want to learn a little bit more about it. One of the important points that this show kind of dives into is this idea that we all have a desire to feel connected with other people. And one of those ways that we feel connected with other people has often been that we share or understand other people's pain. This is commonly known as empathy. Empathy has definitely gotten a lot of emphasis in the past couple of years, and what's interesting is that empathy wasn't really much well used until the early 1950s. And probably part of that reason why is because empathy has the connotation and denotation that we understand and share in someone else's feelings. Now, as good as empathy is in helping us understand and relate to other people, too much empathy can actually be very bad. As Olga Klimecki, researcher at the Institute and Research Center of Cognitive and Brain Science in Germany, is that emotion is really important for understanding other people's emotions, but there's a downside to empathy. When we share the suffering of others too much, our negative emotions increase. It carries the danger of emotional burnout. Some other things that are actually kind of presented in this show as well is that when we share in other people's pain, we can often become disconnected with our own feelings. And I think that goes back to what Olga Klimecki has said about emotional burnout. We become so consumed with taking upon other people's emotions that we don't even have a chance to really even understand or feel our own emotions. So if too much empathy is a bad thing, then does that mean we have to disconnect ourselves with other people? Not necessarily. There actually is a perfect alternative that we can take to empathy, and that's simply sympathy and compassion. Sympathy, as opposed to empathy, rather than taking upon other people's pain, is a sorrow, care, and in fact, sometimes even a pain itself for those other people's pains. Sympathy can come out of a sincere love and desire to seek to help other people. With sympathy comes compassion, which is to seek to relieve other people's pain. Compassion originally meant to suffer with, which I think is a good companion definition with sympathy, where we are not taking upon those pains, we're not trying to adapt that, but we suffer ourselves when we see other people suffering. And I know this becomes kind of a convoluted mess and it's a little bit hard to understand, and don't worry, it's hard for me to understand still at this point. But the real point here is that when we see other people suffering, rather than trying to just adapt and feel what those other people are feeling, perhaps we can actually take a look and try to help relieve the pain that other people are feeling. How we show compassion and sympathy can often be kind of complicated as well. For example, if you know someone who's struggling with unemployment or just lost a job, or even just lost a loved one, sometimes it's really hard to know what to say or what to do for that person. In most of those cases, what that person really needs is just someone there to talk to, someone there to at least listen to them. They don't need someone that has been through it and can give them the best advice. Most of the time, they just need someone that can hear the problems that they have. One thing that I've learned recently is that sometimes not all problems can be fixed, and that it's not our job to fix other people's problems. Most of the time what people just need is just someone to listen to their problems and try to comprehend what possibly that person's going through. So how then can we develop compassion and sympathy for other people? Well, as researchers have found from the University of California at Berkeley, is that compassion can be found when we encourage cooperation, we practice mindfulness, refraining from placing blame upon others, acting against equality, and being receptive to other people's feelings. Now that in of itself can be a chore, but I think as we strive to be aware of other people and be aware of their needs, we could develop a greater compassion and understanding, and instead of just feeling pain and sorrow, we can actually help other people deal with the problems that they have. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you appreciate it. Please hit that subscribe button below if you did. And also, please feel free to join the Facebook group also, if you like the concepts that we talk about here. Also, I did some experimenting with lighting and background and things, and so I hope it looks good. Please leave a comment as well. Let me know if you guys think this setup looks a little bit better. And I look forward to hearing from you guys next week.